Where to start? I think I'll start with this one. This is the flu in Canada for 2019 and 2020. Looks pretty much like you might expect it to look. And here's the chart for the flu in the US for 2019 and 2020. Again, nothing out of the ordinary for expectation, and both look very similar. You have a spring bump at the leading edge, flat through the summer, a rise in the fall, and peaking in the winter. Now here you have the flu in Canada for 2020 and 2021. And here's the flu for the US for 2020 and 2021. Again, they look remarkably similar, but what happened to the flu this last year? Well, let's have a look at this chart here. This is the Wu flu for Canada for this last year. Looks remarkably similar, doesn't it, to the regular flu from the year before? A spring bump, flat through the summer, rising in the fall, and peaking in the winter. While we're at it, why not just compare countries again? Here's Canada's Wu flu chart, and here's Sweden's Wu flu chart. Looks pretty much the same again. So why compare to Sweden? Well, glad you asked. Here is why. Let's see those again. Kazakhstan, eh? Und Sweden, ja? Let's get back to the good old USA and compare states. We'll start with California. It's as dreadful there as it is where I live. Lockdowns, stay-at-home orders, fines, masking, snitch lines, shaming, propaganda central. So here is California's curve, a slow rise, and then it just takes off. Now let's look over to South Dakota, where you have the intelligent, articulate, and ever so lovely Kristi Noem as governor. And here is their graph. Their curve started earlier but rose in the same overall manner. The big difference is they did not Californicate all over their citizens' freedoms, and that is huge. Speaking of stomping all over freedoms and rights, this devil here is hard to beat. He's the Premier of Alberta, regarded as the most free and conservative province in Canada. Not so. He considers himself to be a conservative and a Christian no less. And yet his Department of Health, with the police, have just seized a church. That's right. They took over the building, put up fencing all around it, blocked off the parking lot and lane, restricted traffic on surrounding roadways, and are prepared for a showdown. How dare a church exercise its freedom of worship, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech? How dare they obey God rather than men when men are wrong? How dare they? So the police are there and have taken over the property. Kind of reminds me of communist China. First they invade your church services. Happens in Canada now too. Then they tear down your crosses. But I don't think this church has a cross on the outside. Then they put your pastor in jail. Happens in Canada now too. The pastor at this church got 35 days in solitary confinement. Then they block you from going into your own church. Happens in Canada now too. Then they just tear down the building or blow it up and it's game over for you. So we'll see if that part happens in Canada now yet too. Or maybe the police will just arrest hundreds of Christians, their families and children, as they show up to go to their church and build some makeshift jail to house them all in. Or maybe they'll just Waco the place and torch it all and plant their conquering flags on the property. Who knows? It's up to the devil in charge. We'll soon see. Back to the charts, though. I think it is interesting to note the mask mandate timeframes. Here are the mask mandates in Canada. Remember Sweden without a mask mandate? Check out California and look what happened after the mandate. Remember South Dakota? No mask mandate? Here's the mask mandate where I live. Oh, wow. You really think masking is the answer? The mask is a muzzle, symbolic and real at the same time. It is a mark of slavery and servitude, literally. I'm not going to show you any more charts or graphs because I don't have to. If you haven't seen from these what they so plainly show, then you drank the Kool-Aid and went back for more. Think about it.